But first, here in Melbourne, it's hard to overstate the sadness, frustration and indeed palpable anger that we're back in a place we never thought we would see again, all because the Victorian state government didn't follow the standards of every other government when it came to managing the return of overseas travellers. One of Australia's greatest assets, and in equal measure, a curse, is our geography. As an island nation in a far-flung corner of the world, in times of strife, that ability to lock down our borders and manage incoming visitors is an asset we should deploy ruthlessly and with military-like precision. That's what the other states did, right down to the uniforms. Only not in Victoria, and tonight at midnight, the people will bear the brunt of their Premier's incompetence. As of today, there are only 23 corona cases anywhere in the country outside of Victoria. In Victoria, that number is 860. The sheer disparity between cases here and cases everywhere else puts paid to any claim that this could have happened anywhere. If that's true, why hasn't it? Why is it only Victoria where we've had this secondary outbreak? Well, here's why. In Victoria, there's reportedly a turf war between this woman, the Minister for Health, Getty, and this one, Lisa Neville, the Police Minister. The powerful police union, it's claimed, didn't want to babysit quarantine travellers, so private security guards, bouncers, were brought in to supervise returned travellers. And if reports are accurate, these guards behave like a bunch of undertrained, incompetent, irresponsible goons with barely the mentality and maturity of adolescent schoolboys. But they were, it seems, members of the NUW, United Voices Union, that just so happens to be the union of the other minister involved in all of this, Martin Pakula, who reports say was the man put in charge of hotel quarantining. We are getting somewhere with that, aren't we? I suspect this is in part why the Premier is so desperate to shunt any questions about hotel quarantining off to his hastily established inquiry into what went wrong. Even the Chief Medical Officer was running miles away from having had anything to do with quarantining when asked about it this week. But surely the very fact that the medical experts were not involved tells you what a whole shambles this process was. In any event, it's the oldest trick in the political book. Hide behind an inquiry and hope the heat goes out of the issue before the report lands and you bury its release late one week on a Friday afternoon. If the Premier's got nothing to hide, why did his government use its casting vote to stymie a parliamentary inquiry? If the Premier's got nothing to hide, why is the Parliament itself not sitting? Where's the scrutiny? And if the so-called inquiry is incredibly important, says the Premier, and must be needed to find out what went wrong, how can the government now be setting up a whole new quarantining system before the report's in? After all, don't you need the report to find out what went wrong and ensure it doesn't happen again? Otherwise, if you don't need the report for the new system, then why not answer the questions now? If Daniel Andrews was learning from this catastrophe, at the very least, there might be some shred of humility. But there's none.
I think a sense of complacency has crept into us as we let our frustrations get the better of us. I think that each of us knows someone who has not been following the rules as well as they should have.
Your fault, not his. Your fault, not the Black Lives Matter protesters. Your fault, not his ministers at war. Your fault, not his rejection of backup army soldiers. Out of this, people in Melbourne and Victoria will lose their jobs. Some will lose their homes. Kids will certainly suffer in academic terms. The economy will take a massive hit. And given what we know of mental health issues, some will suffer in even more tragic terms. This second wave in Victoria is unforgivable because it was foreseen and it was avoidable. And instead of standing up to the police and making them do their job like in other states, or accepting the Army's help, which was offered, this is all running out of control. The Premier then decides that protecting Victorians should be put in the hands of a union-connected workforce connected to the minister responsible. All to suit the minister. All to suit the internal machinations of a Labor Party machine in Victoria that's so rotten the administrators have had to be brought in. All to suit a Premier. There's long been a sickness, a political sickness in the state of Victoria. Our tragedy is that it's taken this disease to expose it. But by God, we need some sunlight now to clean up Victoria, and an election now as soon as possible.